30 seconds.
Just tell me when we're ready. Well, the thing's not on. Does it do an on-air thing? The light?
Didn't you have like, oh.
Don't we know when it's on?
Oh, look at time.
So it's on. Hey, we're live because our little light's on.
Okay.
You see that, right?
Yeah,
And then
that
there's
one right there.
one right there, on air.
Okay.
Mr. Jake Empey is joining us for the Racing for Recovery Friday success story. If we're such a successful organization, why is our tablecloth dirty?
You know, we'll get our mate on that.
Okay.
I'll throw something in there. Who usually sits up there?
Not me.
Oh.
I sit here. Normally I'm in this section
That's
here.
true.
It's looking clean, right? I think I said this to Jordan last week. I'm definitely going to say it to you. What do you think I'm going to start off by asking you first? Any idea?
No, I don't.
Okay, I figured as such. So we're going to do this. We're going to talk about Def Leppard to start this.
Okay.
All right?
I-
And we're going to do a little comparing and contrasting. So let's talk about Def Leppard from what was going on when you first got introduced to Racing for Recovery. And I'm using the Def Leppard thing as like a metaphor. So where were you in your life the first time Def Leppard came into our life, I guess is a good way to start.
I was in my mom's car driving around, like, can't remember exactly where we were going, but I remember telling her that I was using heroin again. And she looked at me and she's like, I know. And I thought I was pretty good at hiding it, but apparently I wasn't. Like, I was just an emotional wreck. I was withdrawing, just still feeling absolutely low, and I had nothing to numb it. So it was all coming out. And I just asked her, because I was done. I was just fed up with what I was doing and the lifestyle I was living. So I told her, I was like, I need help. And she ended up calling my sister's counselor. And he recommended you. I can't remember his name, but, well, and then we called you, and you ended up answering the phone at a Def Leppard concert. And I'm sure the song like Pour Sugar on Me was playing, because you're not a big fan of that song. So yeah, that happened. And we set up a meeting like that Monday or whatever day it was. And yeah, I was just at an all-time low.
So, and we're going to use, as we do here, some humor, some seriousness, and keeping that Def Leppard theme going because it's profound for me and how I've watched you prosper into the awesome dude that you are today. But without, as much as I guess you want to do, tell people that are watching this, and even for your own healing, what was going on in your life at that point when you guys reached out? You know, how were you feeling as an individual?
Worthless. Absolutely. Like, I was at a point where I felt like everybody around me would be better off without me. Like, I'm not too sure how long ago before that, but I actually tried ODing on heroin because I just was tired of living. I knew what I was doing to my family, my friends, my uncle, and I didn't want to do it anymore, and I thought the best way was to just end my life. And like, honestly, my drug dealer ended up saving me. So, but I didn't stop there. I just kept going. I was just beaten and broken with thinking about everything that's happened in my life. And
Did you, Jake, have any aspirations growing up to becoming that guy who was addicted to heroin at that point?
not at all.
Well, you do what you want because this is your thing. I'm not trying to push you into that. You can be general and yet still be specific. So can you describe like how you ended up becoming that person? Like what you think, looking back now through your recovery, how did you end up going from I don't want to be that guy to becoming that guy?
I think after seeing, like, after living at my mom's and, like, her being an alcoholic and my stepdad being an alcoholic, and seeing how they acted and, like, always just hanging out in my room, just always feeling alone, and me leaving my mom's place to go to my dad's because it got just out of hand. I was fed up with what was going on in my mom's house, and I went to my dad's and ended up getting a job, got a car, did everything he told me to do, and then I was gone. Like, was never home, just drinking, smoking weed. Just, I wanted my mom to feel how I felt my whole childhood. I wanted her to feel the hurt, but I was hurting myself in the process.
Profound statement. So you said a couple things in there. One, there's genetics with addiction. Your mom had it. You talked about your grandpa. I mean, it's genetics, right? And the other thing that Racing for Recovery really focuses on, there's emotional trauma in there. And you clearly alluded to that. And when somebody is not feeling well and genetically they're predisposed and they make a choice, that's when this stuff starts to unravel. So I want you to talk a little bit too now about how baseball played a role for you during even this bad part of your life. What was baseball to you then?
Baseball was like my escape from everything. Like, I remember, like, I played at Clay, and they were a great baseball team, great baseball organization, and, like, they taught me everything. And then when I was on the field playing with them guys, it's like I didn't worry about anything that was going on, like, around me. And then, like, when I played for Clay, I wasn't doing any drugs or anything, but it was still like an escape from my home. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to my dad's, like, and I was doing all that stuff, like, it was still like another escape because I wasn't doing drugs or anything. I was just me playing the sport that I love.
Did you have any aspirations or hopes of doing anything with baseball at that time?
Yeah, I wanted to make it to the big leagues. Like, my mom, growing up, my mom was always like, "You're gonna be a baseball star." Like, and I remember her saying, like, you're gonna take care of me. And, like, and you know, what kid doesn't want to take care of their mom? Yep. And that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to play baseball. That was my top priority growing up. And I didn't really care about school. I didn't think that was a big deal. I didn't really try to get into college because honestly, I'd rather have spent time drinking and smoking and not really taking care of what I needed to take care of.
So the reason I'm asking you this is there's patterns to addiction and self-destruction. And so I don't think I've ever talked to you about this before, but were you cognizant of the fact, like, that you had something and how important that was to you, but at the same token noticing I'm throwing this away because of some of these other things I'm doing? Were you aware of that at all?
I think a little bit. Like, I remember sitting in my first period class at Bowser, like my senior year, and I'm talking about Toledo to where you only need like a 3.0 to get in or something like that. And then I was like, I can do that. And then I was like, yeah, I don't really care.
Did you have any peers at this time, whether it was teammates on the baseball field or even people that you liked off the field, that were starting to say, hey man, you know, you're kind of making some bad decisions that can hinder potentially doing something with baseball?
I don't think so. Looking back, I think the only person that really said something was my dad. Like, he knew something was up when I came home, like stoned or something like that. Like, no, I don't think so.
Were you cognizant of the fact that, or I don't even know if this was playing in your head, did you want somebody to reach out to you and say, hey, you're screwing this up?
Not at the time.
Okay. What if somebody did do that for you? Do you think that could have made a difference for you?
Yeah. I'm looking back and I think of my one friend Mac and how he had his life together. Like he was doing, like his dad was a teacher at Bowser, and I kind of looked up to him. Like he was younger than me, but I still looked up to him, and he was doing everything right. And my buddy Mitch, that was also younger than me. Like Mitch was always like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go out and drink. I don't want to do anything like that, because he was focusing on school.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of me wanted to do that, and a part of me still didn't care. And I felt like if I would have attached onto that and like hung out with him more and did schoolwork and actually talked to them instead of keeping everything to myself, then I probably would be somewhere else in my life.
It's, I don't know if weird's the right word. I'll say it in a positive way. I'm really, as much as I'm doing this to have you shine, there's honestly a part of me that's looking at you and putting myself back where you were. And the reason I'm asking you some of these questions is these are some of the things that I thought about when I was at that stage that we're talking about in your life. And I remember distinctly being in Chicago at a goalie camp where, like you're describing your friend who was doing everything right. I was with another guy. He eventually played in the pros. He's from Toledo. His name's Pat Jablonski, and we stayed at this family's house. And they had a huge liquor cabinet there. And the first night we got in there, I drank and couldn't go to the first day of practice. And I remember Pat looking at me and saying, "You're screwing up." And I knew I wasn't making a right decision, but I didn't care. And our paths went like this, as they do. So transferring this into where you are now, and I'm going to fast forward and then we'll back up a bit. Let's talk about where you were, how you were feeling, what you were doing the last time you and I were together playing Def Leppard, and what that was like.
We were actually in Boulder, or Longmont,
Yep,
Colorado.
right, that's right.
Driving a slingshot, listening to Def Leppard, even though you hated the song, but like we had our hands up in the air,
Yeah.
and just, it was, I felt like I was at peace.
Yes.
Like it was just indescribable.
Either or.
Either or.
Either
Yeah,
or.
we'll go with that.
So this is, and let's talk about this, because now it's the good stuff. And I remember that day was awesome.
Yeah.
Not just because we were in Boulder, not because it was just beautiful out, not because of the cows we stopped and took a look at, right,
Yeah.
and everything, but the fact that we were able to have a discussion on, remember the first time you called where your life was when I was involved with Def Leppard, and now listening to him in that car, being able to be out there doing that with the freedom, the inner peace that you have and everything was exhilarating. So I want you to convey to people who are watching this what happened in between those two Def Leppard moments that has changed your life.
One, I decided to actually look at my life and realize I needed help, and took that step to get help, and that's when I found Racing for Recovery. It's been a long road,
Yeah.
and it's been hard,
Yeah.
a lot of roller coasters up and down. It's been worth it though. Like came in here, had no idea what to expect, haven't even heard of it. I remember sitting in IOP, like wanting to share, wanting to talk. Still, my self-esteem was still so low that I didn't even want to really look at anybody still. Mm-hmm. And over time, without like using and everything, I ended up, and the people surrounding me, and surrounding myself around people that I admire and look up to and want to be like, and just hanging around this place and talking to you guys, actually venting about what's going on inside. Like I think that was the turning point for me. Like, yeah, I hit the gym, and it felt like I was doing something for myself. Like, I was looking better. I was, starting to see progress, and just consistently doing it and consistently talking about how I felt or feel, and that took me back to actually like remembering what has happened to me in my childhood, and then opening up an IOP. And without opening up about me going through my struggles, I don't know, it's crazy, because I haven't trusted anybody with what I shared in there before. Like, my parents don't even know. Like, my family doesn't know. And my best friends and you guys know. It's crazy.
Do you remember, because I remember this vividly, do you remember the day where, well, I don't want to give you the hint that way. Give me what you think was a major turning point in the old IOP room that's through a lot of work and perseverance on your end when you changed. You're kind of talking about it, but there was something specific that happened in that old IOP room when I pointed out what the change was to you, and I wonder if you remember what I'm talking about.
You talking about looking people in the eyes?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Like, that's great. Like, thinking back and being in the old IOP room, and I just wanted to be in the corner, didn't want to be me. Like, I just wanted to look at the ground, kind of fake it, like, because I don't even know why, really. Like, I just wasn't okay with who I was. I didn't like anything about me. I hated it, actually. And over time of me just trying, like, looking at you in the eyes and, like, looking at other people in the eyes and just looking in the mirror and actually talking to myself positively. Like, honestly, I'll be like, you're good looking, you're awesome, you're smart. Just anything positive to try to build up my self-esteem, and then surrounding myself around people like Jordan, Joe, Brendan, Pat, AJ, just everybody that will joke around but also pick you up. And over time, I started to feel okay, and then I started to feel great, and then now I feel amazing with who I am. That's what this program's done. I hope there's people that are watching this and listening to you, because most of we have the 90-10 rule. Most of the people that are coming in here are beat up from some type of emotional trauma where there's just no self-worth whatsoever. And showing the impact that you and everybody who's been affected by addiction, what they have on other people. That was over a year and a half ago, and to me, I remember exactly where I was, where you were sitting, how you were looking, what you were doing, because you are of value. And people need to understand that it's okay just to be you. Right.
And when you couldn't even look up from the floor, and that day it shifted where your head looked up and you were looking at the people in the group and talking about some of these things that you've endured, and I'm like, that's a change. And to put it into more perspective of how further you are, even where I was in my own recovery, when you talk about looking in the mirror, the first interview I ever did that was the catalyst of forming this program, I was sober for 8 years, and the interviewer asked me to look in the mirror and say something positive about myself. I couldn't do that. And that's 8 years being into recovery. You already have advanced way beyond where I was by doing the work that you've done. And I'm only sharing that, I'm sharing it for your benefit first, but I want people to see what you are doing and be able to then look at that and go, well, if that dude can do it, I can do it too. And you did that within the first, I think, 3 months of being around here, that has given you the success that you have today, that you've earned. Wasn't given to you, you earned it.
Rather earn it than be given.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I had something in mind, but I can't remember. It just kind of.
That's what drugs do to you kids. Remember that.
Yeah, that short-term memory.
Right.
Too much whiskey.
What do you think is another hardship that you've overcome, and how did you overcome it?
You know, I was thinking about this, and I remember when my old babysitter, Pam, her name was Pammy, and she passed away, and like I didn't have any want to use, like any need for it. I just, like I talked about it in IOP, and that's right there. That was just like relief off my shoulders. It was, but like going there and dealing with the emotions, and like it was like my second mom. She's like took care of me when my mom was, when I was younger. Like I remember going through elementary and everything, and she was always there, like just a caring, loving person. Couldn't have children of her own, but she was able to take care of so many people and show that love, and I needed that like when I was younger. And then she ended up passing away, and I felt like I should have been there. Like I should have talked to her more, and all this other stuff that goes on in your head when someone passes. But having the support I have around me, and actually calling somebody instead of, you know, making a stupid, impulsive decision to, you know, ruin my life, because I've already improved on it tremendously before it happened. And why would I want to go back to what I was doing? So I just took a deep breath, went to the funeral. I was with the family, but it was just amazing to know, like, during a hard time, I still have people to count on.
Do you think, had you not had the courage to reach out for initial help, had you not had the courage to come in and be in an educational group, and again, not had the courage to talk and sit in educational group and met effective peers who valued you as a person and not used drugs over that time, had you not done any of that stuff and that same situation occurred where your babysitter had passed away, do you think you would have been able to handle that effectively?
No. No.
So how can you then say the obvious, what you did there, and then talk about how important it is to be active in a program like, well, not like Racing for Recovery, in Racing for Recovery, and what effective peer support and actually putting work into your sobriety has been able to give you to handle these situations like this?
I think, like, well, actually, I feel like since I've been, you know, trying to improve on my life so much, like when coming here, I realized, yeah, I have to deal with the trauma and everything, but it's all about pushing for more. It's all about trying to better your life. Yeah. And I see so many people around me doing that, so I want to do that. Mm-hmm. And like I talked about my trauma. It was absolutely relieving to talk about that, get that off my chest, and then being able to handle it in a positive manner instead of a negative one. Like I remember hearing like 100% of you don't have to use drugs or alcohol again. And that actually stuck to me. It's just, so like, I actually saw you in Boulder, and yeah, I've been hitting the gym and I've been talking, I've been journaling and everything that's helped me out, just doing whatever it takes to improve on my life. But when I was in Boulder and saw you push yourself for 16 and a half hours, that did something. Like, it took me forever to work just because I've seen so many people start working right when they get into a recovery program and then make that horrible choice to do what they were doing to ruin their lives in the first place. Like, that killed me. So I took a while, got a job, and when I got a job, it kind of threw everything off balance. and I wasn't able to hit the gym as much. I wasn't able to hit IOP as much. I just wasn't able to do what was helping me in the beginning. So I had to switch it up. Like sometimes I'd go to IOP like in the morning before work or hit the gym before work. But after seeing you in Boulder and pushing yourself, I was like, there's no excuse for me to not wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. or even earlier to hit the gym before work. Or honestly, there's no excuses at all, like to hold back. Like I'm tired of that. Yeah, I mean, I still eat meat. Like that's not gonna change. But no, it's just I want to start reading more. I want to do this and that. And instead of saying I want to, I'm saying I will.
Right.
And that actually, saying that before the next day, that actually holds myself accountable.
Right.
To be like I'll wake up at 6 a.m. and I'll be like, oh, I said this the next day. All right, I'm gonna hit the gym.
Well, one of the things, what I hear you saying is, and it's what we talk about here, it's living a balanced, holistic lifestyle. And you hit this right on the head. There are so many people that come into recovery and they think, oh, I just have to stop using drugs and then immediately go back into exactly what I did before. I've completed my required sessions for treatment and I'm going to immediately go back to the job I had before, working the same amount of time in the place I didn't want to be and expecting something to change. And it does not, or we don't see it really working that way. And I hear you then having the wherewithal to say, you know, I've learned this. It's starting to happen again. I'm going to empower myself to change it, to get back into living in a balanced way because I value who I am today and want to live this way.
Yeah.
And that's what
100%.
we're doing. You brought this up and I wanted to have you talk about it. What was it like for you that day when we were in Boulder and we went out running those 3 miles in the morning out there that time we first got there? What was that like for you?
Exhausting. But it was, honestly, it was amazing. Like being able to run with Todd Crandall, like that was, no, I know.
That's not what I wanted
I
you
know.
to say, but yeah,
No,
go ahead.
But I remember, like, we ran, and it was, I mean, it's a great feeling, like, pushing yourself in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, when we were done, I was like, oh my God, like, I feel more awake. But, like, we were running actually back to the house, and we were looking up, and we were looking at the mountains and everything. And, like, it felt like I wasn't even running.
Right.
It was just beauty. The amazing view, running with somebody that I can trust and care about, and just a friend. And then I wanted to kind of like go back to the house, but we still had another mile to go, and you were like, come on. And I was like, all right. And that made me feel good because I was like, he's pushing me like to better myself, and even when I don't want to. That's what I need. I need people around me that it's going to push me for more, that want to see me be the best person I can be. That's what I need. That's what I deserve.
Well, you're even answering some of the follow-up questions I wanted to ask, that I was going to ask you in that, especially that whole point where we got to that stage and you're like, oh, hey, we can turn down this street to go back to the house. And I'm like, no, there's a street up here that
Right.
we can take too. So I'm going to switch the roles a second here. What do you think running with you meant to me?
Okay. Honestly, if I was probably in your shoes, I'd be like, wow, seeing this kid, like when he first started, to where he's at now running with me. It was probably an amazing feeling, seeing me like push myself, like a humbling experience.
This is where I got to start getting sunglasses in here, Todd, you know what I mean?
I sit over here and cry every week, man.
Yeah. No, that's, I was afraid to ask that question because how I knew I'd respond to it. But no, I kind of tried to convey this to people last night about, I know the desperation side, as you've alluded to going through this as well, and I know Ashley could say the same thing, and so did Todd. that's common for people like us. People need to experience the other side of this. And for me, like, first of all, you even saying, hey, let's do this in the morning, that motivated me to get up and be like, get up and do it. You know, so just that fact alone of you being you already, I was benefiting from that. But literally, like, being out there and watching you do that day, I'm like, first of all, I never dreamed of doing something like that, ever. And then once we put Racing for Recovery together, those were my dreams and aspirations. So I'm fortunate enough by your own success that I'm like, yeah, I get to be a part of that. It's not, I think so many times in sobriety, people get a misconception of what inspiration is, and it's not always the person who has less than looking at somebody that has more than. It's actually the reverse of people who are privileged to have some time under their belts that can be a part of someone else's success.
Yeah.
That's what you and many other people have done for me, and I appreciate that. So thanks.
Anytime.
Right.
Anytime. My favorite quote is, if you're not making somebody else's life better, then you're wasting your time.
I agree. And just to foreshadow some stuff, maybe we'll be doing that same type of run in France next year. Right? Right, Ty? Got to get approval from the boss on that, right? June 30th, we'll be doing that. So what else did I wanted to ask you about moving forward? Well, no, I want to do this. What's it like to be now coaching the Racing for Recovery awesome, unwinning softball team?
You know, like, I think about that, and I'm a competitive person, so I want to win. Like, it's in my blood. But, like, being out there, like, actually, not last weekend, but the weekend before, I was in left field. I saw a ball hit to Jordan. I mean, I think he kind of missed it, but it was just like, I was just watching, and I was like, they're having fun. Like, I mean, there's still a part of me that's like, oh my God, catch the ball. But then I'm like, all that matters is just having fun out here. Right. That's the main goal. It's like, people are able to go out, be active, and enjoy the sun and play ball.
So you may not be coaching a, quote, winning team with a score, but are you winning at life, I guess we can say in that?
Yeah, I'm coaching champions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Any questions?
I got a question on
All right.
that too, a little bit here. And I think you nailed it. You're coaching a group of winners, so
Yeah.
that's awesome. But how did it feel knowing that you almost took out the newest component of Racing for Recovery's holistic lifestyle and knocking out the chiropractor in a collision?
Yeah,
that was pretty
her.
bad. I felt so bad because I remember running into her and I kind of just stood there and she went like flying and I remember seeing her face go and she caught the ball and she like stuck up the glove and I was like, yeah, heck yeah.
Had to give me some crap.
Dude, I felt so bad and I kept on apologizing to her before I saw her. I'm glad that she was okay. If she didn't get up, I probably would have left. I would have been like, no, I'm done. But just, oh man, that feeling was like, what the heck did I just do? So, I'm glad she's okay.
What does the future look like for you personally? And do you have any hopes or aspirations of having a, quote, job here through us someday, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I would love to work for Racing for Recovery. I'm actually working on my CDCA right now. And my plan is to actually organize sporting teams here. I want to get dodgeball going because AJ used to do that back at ZEF and he used to tell me about it. And I don't know if I want to do the whole push-ups thing if you get hit or everything, but yeah, that would be pretty cool if I could do that. And then I want to get like a basketball team, so if anybody played basketball that's that I can talk to and like relate to on a sporting level and want to come in and play, like we'll be active in that, or volleyball, or I mean I know Jeff likes to golf, so maybe I don't think we can get a golf team, but if we can go out and like
Yeah.
hit a few tees or something, like it's just if I'm able to bring that like positive alternative into this organization, then I'll be very happy.
I love that. Change one word and replace it with another word. You said, if I can bring that.
When I do.
There you go. That's another factor of this. It's looking at how, Ashley, we talked about this a few minutes ago, looking at how you're speaking about this. Not if that happens, it's when that happens, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And it's never a job here.
no,
We don't work.
nope, nobody works here.
Right.
I know I don't. I don't want to work. I did enough of that. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, like I've been hurt. I've been going through hurt my whole life, and I've been molested. I've been jumped. I've been absolutely beaten to the core and beaten myself to the core. And being able to come here and trust the people around me and talk to the people at Racing for Recovery has definitely turned my life around, and me being able to look at myself as a value. Like me, I used to say I want to be somebody, but today I am somebody. So without Racing for Recovery, I don't know where I'd be.
That was powerful. And I don't have anything else to say except for we all care about you. We love you. We respect you. And we're just proud to be a part of your journey, man. That was awesome. Did anybody ask any questions they wanted to hear on there?
Tons of positive feedback
Yeah.
from all over the country.
That's awesome stuff. If anybody's watching this and you want what Jake has, call us. Research Racing for Recovery. Learn about what we do. It's not, again, it's not about not using the drugs. It's finding out why I'm hurting enough to choose drugs and what am I going to do to heal, and then what am I going to do to sustain that wellness. And this dude is a prime example of that. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We're done, Todd.